Welcome to the Code with Jason meetup. We're going to do some more SaturnCI today. I will share my screen and then I'll share where we're at. Um, so I've mentioned this in the last one or two sessions, but SaturnCI actually has users now. So that is pretty neat. Um, and unsurprisingly, having people actually use it has uncovered some deficiencies. And here's one of them. This is maybe a decent example here. Um, so when you click on a failure, it will show you on the right-hand side all your failed test cases. And by default, it'll place you on the first of those. You can click around to these various ones if you want to, but it'll put you on the first one. Um, and this is a failed system spec. But what would be really nice is to see a screenshot. And the CI platforms that I've used, they offer you a way to get access to your artifacts, including your screenshots. CircleCI and GitHub Actions both do it in a really clunky way, which is you have to go to a totally separate area and manually find the artifact that you're interested in. But there's no logical reason why we can't just put that artifact right here so we don't have to manually dig for it. So that's my intention. Um, and I've been working toward this and I've been encountering difficulties along the way. Um, Along the way, I've learned that I have some certain fragilities in my logging, and I have some mysterious situations. So, what I'm supposed to see, let me see if I can go to a build that worked properly. That one didn't. This one didn't. Let me go to like a much older one. Okay, this one worked properly. The last couple things we should see are Docker push finished and deleting runner. And if we don't see those, then it means that the script didn't complete in the way that I'm expecting it to. Actually, I shouldn't even say that. All I know for absolute certain is that sometimes those last two lines of the logs don't appear. That's what I know for absolute certain. What I don't know is why. And I don't think this is the kind of mystery that I just want to leave unsolved. I think, sorry, I'm remembering that part of Spinal Tap. Have you guys seen Spinal Tap?
Yeah, of course.
Um, where they were talking about how their drummer died, and they're like he died in a bizarre gardening accident, and it's one of those cases where the authorities just said it's best left unsolved. Um, so this is not one of those cases where it's best left unsolved. I do want to understand why this is happening because that seems like something I should be concerned with. Um, so let's see. Um, I've been adding. Okay, so I'll go to my main branch here. All right, so this is my controller that's responsible for ingesting my system log content. The runner here has an agent on it, which will periodically grab a chunk of var log syslog, which is like the system output. It's basically anything that goes into standard out will go into var log syslog. And so my agent will grab the last little bit of Verilog syslog and it'll send it to this API endpoint, which will grab that last little bit of the log and append it to this value, and then it'll broadcast it. So that's what's here. But I found out that sometimes somewhere in here there occurs a 500 error. And when that happens, it doesn't work properly and it fails silently. So I don't want it
Can
to
I
fail
ask a
silently.
question?
Yeah,
Uh, in the varlog syslog file, do you see all the output you expect? In other words,
that's a
does it
good
end with those
question.
Docker lines?
It's a good question, and we can do a test in a second that answers that question. Um, but if it fails, because I noticed that under some circumstances, my script has a raw error, but I don't see the raw error here because the raw error fa the raw error prevents the verilog syslog from being sent to the API. So I can't see the raw error in this view here. It just truncates the output. So what I did in order to try to make that not happen is I added this rescue where it'll rescue whatever error happened and then broadcast the error message so that I can see what went wrong. It's yet to be determined if this actually works as intended. I have passing tests, but that's only like a local kind of test. This is the real test to see if it really works. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to rerun this build, and then once this build is ready, I'm going to SSH into it. So I have this command line tool. It'll show me what runs I have going, and I can say, let's grab this run here and SSH into it. Okay, connection refused because it's probably just not ready yet. I'll just retry until it works. There we go. Okay, so now I can do tail dash F verilog syslog, and we can see some stuff. I'm not sure exactly what's happening right at this moment. But while we're waiting for this, we can look at some other stuff. What do I want to look at? Yeah, so here's that last step where it says deleting runner. And I have a pretty fuzzy understanding of how some of these things work. You can see this sleep 5 here. That's just a total hack because I don't have a good enough understanding of how certain aspects of this work. And I want to gain a good enough understanding that I don't have to have this hack. This sleep uh, fixes a race condition. Between what and what, I don't remember. So that's the other bad thing about this sleep is it's not really self-explanatory. I'll show something else here. We have this test suite command. I learned about this thing here, this process.spawn and process.wait. That will make it so that if I didn't do this, if I
Yeah, the
didn't do
command would
this,
run asynchronously.
exactly.
Yeah, and it would return back, the process spawn returns back immediately, even though the command's still running.
Yeah. And you can see I have another sleep here, another hack. And so I'm wondering if the truncation of the system logs has something to do with my fuzzy understanding of how of what's executed synchronously and asynchronously and whatnot. Okay, it looks like the tests are starting to run now. Yep, I can see the output here. Okay. Anyway, what does it do after the test suite finishes? It hits the API endpoint that signifies that the run has finished. It sends a JSON report of all the tests. And that, James, is what we were working on last time, I think. That
Right.
is,
You're
that
getting the output
is,
of the JSON output of the RSpec and sending it.
yeah, so that's where all this stuff is coming from. That's where I'm getting this list.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah, I'm pretty happy with that. Um, and then next it sends a certain report. It sends this. Oh, which of course isn't there yet for this particular one. I'm noticing the UI has gotten very sluggish. Okay, so that sends this report here,
Mm,
which is kind of made obsolete
by the
by,
overview.
yeah, by the overview. So I think I might kill that part. So those are the two things that happen after the test suite finishes. And I added a third thing on a different branch. I added something that will take any artifacts that were generated during the test suite run, like screenshots,
Mm.
and it'll send those to a certain API endpoint. Um, but doing that made things pretty buggy. My log output started to get even more truncated when I did that.
I was wondering if you validated that you're not just missing things off the end, but are you missing things from your log within the log? And maybe it's just not obvious because the stuff off the end's obvious.
Hmm. I didn't quite follow.
In other words, are there other stuff missing from the log other than the last couple lines?
Oh, yeah, sometimes
Have you,
there is.
and so, yeah, maybe what that tells me is like there's a race condition in the way you're chunking the results and getting them and sending them back that you occasionally miss some stuff.
Yeah. And another clue is that a certain portion of the time, my DigitalOcean droplets don't get deleted. And so
Think
that tells me that sometimes it isn't even reaching the end of the script. Okay, so this run passed. Let's see what the logs look like. Okay, it's missing the end. Okay, that's useful information. What about this other one? It's missing the end also. Okay, so is verilog syslog also missing the end?
I didn't know.
Okay, here is the end.
Drum roll, please.
Oh, Docker push finish deleting runner.
Yeah.
Okay, very interesting.
So, uh, remind me again how you're collecting this information and sending it.
Yeah, so at the beginning of the process, I'm creating this object called stream. So let me open up stream. Stream starts a new thread. Oh, yeah, yeah. All right. This is coming back to me. So stream starts a new thread and every 1 second um it sends a request with the latest log output.
And how do you kill this?
It dies by virtue of the fact that the script has finished. So it's possible that the script finishes, all
And it
right,
hasn't, it's in its sleep when the script finishes
yeah,
and doesn't get the last run through. Uh, let me make sure I understand it. The script that's running is the thing that owns this thread. It's like within the context, this thread's within the context of that script. So when the script ends, uh, like I'm not 100% sure of what happens here without doing some experimentation or what should happen here, but it sounds like since you've got the looks like the lines are in the log file, it's just a race condition here,
hmm
is my
My
guess.
my suspicion is that maybe the script exits before this streaming process has caught up. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
Yeah. All right. So how do we get into that? I'm having a slow day mentally, so this might take me a little bit. Okay. So we're taking, I'm gonna go like this. So how do we figure out what the latest part is? All the lines is we just read all the lines of this file, and we say the newest content is we go from the most recent total line count to the end of the file, and the most recent total line count is just whatever the last length of the file was. Yeah, so it's like if the file is 10 lines long, then we read in those 10 lines, and then the next iteration of the loop, it says, okay, now the log file is 18 lines now. So let's read from line 10 to 18 and then send that part.
The other thing is, I don't think there's anything stopping, like, there's no like file locking here, right? So you could be reading it while it's being written, and you would get some potentially not complete result, put it that way.
Hmm. I feel like that's unlikely because I've looked at the logs a very large number of times and I've never seen a single,
Like a partial line.
yeah, I've never seen anything where it looks like lines are missing or duplicated or anything like that. So luckily,
Uh,
I think that is not occurring.
so
Um,
I guess the question
mhm.
is, are you missing other lines than other than the ones at the end? If you're just missing the
Hmm.
ones at the end, then I think it's a matter of uh, always making sure that you read the log file one more time before the program ends or as the program's ending,
Yeah,
because the sleep one will make this thread, but more often than not, just be asleep when the program terminates. And there could have been the last couple lines written to the log that you're not getting because
yeah,
of that.
that's a good point. And that must be what my sleep hack was for, to try to make it so we wait long enough for this reading and sending process to get the last bit of the file. Now
That's a
here,
problem with peppering sleeps all over the place. Is like you don't necessarily, if you have that kind of a problem, then like you could solve your problem most of the time, or you don't know which sleep fixed which problem, or did all the
right?
sleeps fix the problem together, or
Yeah, it's really no good. Let's see. Okay. I'm curious about something. Well, what just happened? Okay. Yeah. No.
You need the end quote.
Oh, yeah, thanks. That is very strange. Okay. I feel like ChatGPT might have given me garbage.
I
Let me,
think the second one looks better.
yeah. Okay. What I'm curious about is if Verilog syslog eventually stops growing. Because if it does stop growing, then we can say, like, don't exit until it stops growing. Oh, but it
I
doesn't
don't
stop
think that's a
growing.
great. Yeah, I think like you want to have control over the situation. So it's like I would find some way for as the program's shutting down or the script, then you like do that same routine where you have where it's reading the log files. Like you have a way of telling the thread to shut down and uh, as part of the thread shutdown, do one more check of how big is the syslog file and
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
I have an idea.
I'm with James on this one. Because if it's asleep for like 9/10 of a second, it didn't hit that full second. But a lot can happen in that 9/10 of a second, and if it's at the end, then it won't get written to the logs. So yeah, one final read should ensure that you get everything.
How do you, so you don't shut that thread down on purpose. You just let uh, the script ending shut the thread down.
Correct.
My advice would be shut the thread down on purpose in your script at the end.
Okay.
Like, where do you
Let's
create that thread? Is it, or is that in a place where you can do that easily?
yeah, okay. So how do I kill the thread? Let's see. So it looks like I'm never assigning the thread over here. I'm just letting the
Right, because
thread get
you wrapped
created.
it in a class, right? Is it? Oh yeah, it's in the stream class. So
But I think I could say like stream thread equals that. I think that would work.
yeah, I didn't see if there was anything beyond that block in that dot new. Okay, so there isn't. So yeah, I think that ought to work.
Yeah. And then how do I end the thread? Oh, dot kill. Okay. Well, that's intuitive.
Yep. And I guess you could wrap it in that, or with that if makes a lot of sense in case it had died for some reason before.
Yeah. Okay.
And then is there a hook that you can execute when it's killed, like as part of this class, part of the thread class? Sorry.
Like to make it do the read and send one last time.
Yeah,
Looks like no. Um,
there's got to be. What
well, I mean,
is
there's
this?
not right now, but there certainly can be.
Yeah,
So it could maybe be something like this. Um, well, we can take this. Some of the stuff might have to get changed to instance variables.
yeah.
Um, That's just a placeholder name. And I'm pretty sure I have no test for this. Yeah. And I think I want to have a test for this. The only reason I didn't have a test for it, well, this started off as a bash script and then it graduated to Ruby. And so it didn't start with a test. So let's add a test because otherwise it's gonna be a long feedback cycle before I know if it works or not. All right, so spec lib Saturn runner CI or Saturn CI runner API. Stream spec.rb. Okay, and I can get out of here, I guess. Um, I'm actually going to go back to main because this isn't dependent on anything. Okay. Okay, so first I can initialize a stream. Log file path and API path. Okay. So I'm already identifying a potential issue. So it's annoying to me that this is dependent on the file system.
Mhm.
So maybe instead of doing file.readlines here, I can move this and I can do file.readlines here. Am I using the log file path anywhere else? I am not. So yeah, that's not needed. So I can do file.readlines, verilog, syslog. Okay, and instead of log file path, I can have log file contents.
The problem with this,
Uh-huh.
go back to your thing that calls the stream new, is that you're only going to read the file one time here.
Mm,
I think you need to
yeah.
pass in a proc that does that.
Oh, interesting.
And that
Does
way
that
you can
really
call the
get me
proc.
anything?
Yeah, that's the question. Or do you just say, I'll have the dependency on the file system, and in my test, I'll pass in a temp file.
Well, maybe there's yet another way to do it. Um, Maybe we can do something like this. Um, but it needs to be a snapshot. It can't be live. It can't change every time we call it. Um,
Every time you call all lines. Oh, I see. I
right.
see. Yeah. So this is, and you got to say all lines equals log file content. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So I'm going to run this. Does this initialize it at least? Yes, it does. All right. And the log file path doesn't matter because we're going to like stub that part anyway. I'm doing that to make it clear that it's just arbitrary and not really anything. Um, API path. Okay, that's Okay.
So the way that a thread works is you do this new, you pass it a block and it executes the block. And when it falls out of the block, the thread's over with.
Okay.
Um,
Are you asking or is that a statement?
it's a statement. I think
Okay.
that's how it works. So here you have, this thread would never exit on its own because you just do a while true. There's no other exit in
Oh,
there.
Yeah.
good point. Yeah.
And
So
so maybe what you could do is add to this class uh, uh, kill method that sets a flag, and your loop pays attention to that flag as to whether or not the thread's supposed to be killed or not.
And what would
yes.
be the determiner of whether it gets killed?
That your script is ending. So you would call it at that top level where you created this thread.
Hmm.
Like maybe you don't really need to keep track of the thread as so much as you need to keep track of this class, the object that's created from this class. And you could have a kill method, like I
Okay,
said.
so it's like this.
Yeah, and it's just sets the kill flag to one or true. Like I don't even think you need that. You just in your while loop there, you would
Oh, I
say
see.
if kill break.
I see. Couldn't it be done either way?
I don't know what the other way is. I didn't work it out in my head, so maybe.
Um,
Oh, you pulling. See, the problem is if you just
I
get the
realized it.
thread, yeah, how do you can't, you still can't really do what needs to be done.
Yeah. I feel like I don't want to call it kill because we're not really killing it. We're just telling it to kill itself.
Or end, or
Or
end's
well,
a reserve word, but something like that.
you can call it keep alive. But even even if you set that flag at the end of that while, if it's false, you still have to read it one more time.
Right. And so
Right.
um, I would almost extract that chunk of statements into a separate method in order to do that. But that's probably jumping the gun a little bit.
All right, let
Do we?
me do this. Let me first of all just get one working test.
Okay.
I'm just going to do that and see exactly how it fails.
Right.
Okay, interesting. Read lines, no such file or
That's what we
directory, not
expected.
shocking. Yeah,
Yeah.
so let's stub log file content. Um, um, sure. Okay, that passed, which is interesting. It seems like it would have just started an infinite loop, and I suppose maybe it did, and it
Right.
just
In a
never
separate thread.
closed this thread.
I think it did when the process, whatever
Oh,
process it's running and shut
I
down.
see. Okay. Okay. Um,
Yeah, I mean, if you make it like if you make the kill or keep alive condition like an instance variable uh, for this uh, for this class, you can just you can just set the condition to keep alive equals false, where you right before you end the program.
I'm way behind you guys. Um, we have we have a problem that makes this like not testable. Um, which is that sleep is like dependent on the clock, and we need to be able to like get in there and have
Yeah.
control over this. It's also interesting that we're not getting any kind of like webmock error from this because if this is really executing, then it seems like we should be getting an error from this.
Well, wouldn't it work if in your test you slept for 5 seconds in your test and just allowed this thread to read 5 times?
Yes, but that seems like a fragile way to do it. First of all, I'm curious if it's even getting here at all. Yeah, it's
Oh,
not even.
did you call start? I think you just created it without calling start.
No, I'm calling start.
Oh, okay, I see.
I'm getting a message here. Terminated with exception.
Oh, okay. I was just looking this up. It's like I think this thread may raise an exception and you're not paying attention to it. And I think that's what the error
Hmm.
message says. I was just looking that up.
Oh, okay. I think because I had that raise hey in there, that
Yeah.
was making it raise that exception. Okay, interesting. But the test still passes when that happens, I guess because it's in a separate thread. But when we do
The
this execute thing just seems to kind of fail silently.
Well, that means it's being called. You know that at least. But yeah, okay, I see what you're saying. The content request dot new dot execute should raise an error because the path
Yeah.
is wrong and all that.
All right, so I'm gonna add something here. I'm gonna call this like, I don't know, send content or something like that. I'm I definitely expect to change that. Newest content. Okay, and then I'm gonna expect send content to get called. Yeah. Okay. And it passed. Does it fail if I comment that out? Okay. All right. So now I think I'm interested in a test where it reads the file and sends the content, and then we add content to the file, and it reads it again and sends the next piece of content.
I
Oh,
guess I'm still not understanding. Is that execute being called and is it successful?
um, now it is not being called in the test because when we do expect stream to receive send content, it stubs send content.
Oh, okay. I see. My bad.
Yeah.
And
Um,
that's why you extracted that into its own method so you could stub it.
exactly.
Gotcha.
All right, so I'm gonna make this a little bit more clear. I'm gonna say line one. Let's actually have, sure, let's have line one, line two, line three. Yeah, okay. Does that still pass? Okay.
Okay, here's the hard part then, right? It's
Mm-hmm.
where you say, okay, allow stream to receive log file content and return line one, line two, line three, line four,
Right.
and do it in such a way that the sleep doesn't impact things.
Yeah. All right, so I'm gonna rearrange a couple things here. Okay, so I'm gonna say first read. Um, it sends um, all the contents. Okay. Second read, one line added. It sends just the new line. Okay. Um, this is confusing me. I'm gonna just start fresh myself.
Yeah, you got to do all that stuff.
Yeah, I think what we need is like, whoops, something like that.
I see. So you could stub that.
Yeah. Um, all right. So if we just have that again, obviously that's gonna work. Oh, I spoke too soon.
Proceed to 0 times. Did you get it all?
Okay, so that first test passes. Hmm. I think because I'm working with the same instance, it like the instance gets fouled. It's only good for one use
Yeah,
apparently.
it's a one shot.
Yeah. Huh. Okay.
Maybe just create it as a local for now because it definitely should work
Yeah, that's interesting. I'm gonna guess that even as a local variable, it won't work.
because why?
I don't know. That's just what my gut's telling me. Yeah, it doesn't work. Okay, why did my gut tell me that? Because I think maybe it's the presence of the thread that is causing the problem.
Uh, Scroll up so I could see the rest of what's up there in this file. I mean, the thread should be creating a new instance.
I have another idea. Okay, I'm gonna slow it down. All right, so this first one should have passed. Oh, and then we get some error. Oh, no such file or directory. Interesting. Huh.
Didn't you stub that out? Oh,
Yeah. Okay, and the interesting thing is, okay, if I run just one at a time, yeah, if I run just one at a time, it works. Oh, let's do this. Um, what if we do all this twice? Interesting. What if we do this? Okay, that's interesting. Okay, so we expected send content. and it's not getting it on the second time. Oh, maybe because when we stub something, it only stubs it once.
But they're two separate instances of stream, right? Is that true?
You would think. Okay, so we see that memory location there, 126, blah blah blah. Same memory
Yeah,
location.
where did you see that? No, they're
Um,
different. They're different in the end digits.
oh, you're right. Okay. Hmm. Well, let's try something else.
It didn't even work with local variable, which is mind-boggling to me. Oh, I see.
Mhm.
Yeah, good good call. Because this has got to work.
Mm. Don't say stuff like that.
My gut tells me it's going to work. Ah, my guts are wrong.
I was just telling somebody the other day, optimism is the greatest sin in programming.
Well, uh, assumptions are the greatest. And I was making an assertion, not an assumption.
Okay.
Okay, so what's there?
I have yet another idea.
Expected one time, received zero times.
Okay. So stream.method send content. Okay. We can see that it's stubbed, right? Because for the definition, it says method double.rb.
Hmm.
Um, stream two dot method send content. Okay, that one's stubbed also.
And it's a different instance.
I am interested by the fact that we ran that first one, then we went out of the binding.pry and we get this no such file error. And I'm curious, does that happen because of the passage of time, or does that happen because we allowed the program to continue? It looks like the latter.
Where do you get this? Sorry, oh yeah, no such file. Foobar log.
Yeah, on line 11. Wait, stream line 11.
Streamline 40.
Yeah, okay. And that's
Oh, I thought,
interesting.
weren't you supposed to, did you stub that? Log file content, yeah.
Yeah,
So
in both
it shouldn't even
tests,
be
we
calling
stubbed
that,
that.
right? It shouldn't even be calling your actual method there, right?
Right. So I'm curious if we do a binding.pry here and just run only this test, but we like sit for a second, let some time pass, and then we continue. Yeah, interesting.
Is it because the RSpec executes everything immediately and doesn't wait the 1 second for the thread to do what it needs to do?
Yeah, I wonder if that's a factor.
So just put a
Okay.
sleep after both expect stream, sleep of like one or two or 1.1.
Sorry, I'm distracted. I ran it here and I see that we get the same no such file or directory thing. And I
Run it
don't even
again.
see the other test running.
Is it consistently failing like that?
The other test passed green, I think. It's a two examples, one failure.
Oh, okay. Yeah, you're right. And it looks like it does consistently fail that way.
We could, as an experiment after the expect stream, do sleep 1.1 on both of them. So it's longer than the 1 second.
And what exactly is the logic behind that?
Uh, Now I forget, but it sounded reasonable. You said something and it made me think to do that. Okay, so
Is
that doesn't make any difference. Okay.
Can we maybe try to work with a simpler version of this problem? What if we just do this?
Yeah, there's too many ends.
Oh, whoops. Okay, so that individual test passes. Okay, different error.
Oh, and you got to do stream two here.
Yeah. Okay, so that
Nice.
passes, meaning that the issue lies somewhere between those 2 points. All right, so what if we do this inside of a thread?
Boom.
Interesting. Fascinating. Okay, so why is that the case?
Uh, I wonder if it has to do with what does send content look like again? It just, oh,
It's a
never mind.
stub.
Oh,
Yeah,
yeah, it is a stub.
it's just remembering.
Um, I had a thought. Um, Whoops.
Concurrency is hard.
Yeah, I feel like now I'm starting to think about thread local variables and uh, when we stub this, when we stub this out, right, the stub is being created on a different thread than that proc is running or the block is running in. I wonder if it has to do with that.
Ha! I thought I was so smart. Hmm. Okay. I got them
What'd
both
you
to
do?
pass.
What'd you do though?
Um, okay. See, for each one of these, I did thread equals stream or stream2 dot start. Then I did a binding dot pry and a thread dot kill.
Oh, I see. Take the binding.pry off now. Did you run it without the binding.pry?
I didn't, and we got failures. Okay. So they both pass when we have sleep. They both fail when we don't have sleep. That is fascinating. I
I
don't
wonder if
understand
it's
why.
because, well, you set the, nah,
It's like, I guess it's because the thread takes like more than an infinitely small amount of time to execute. And so we need to give it at least a very small amount of time. Like if we did sleep zero point 0.1, would it still work? Yeah.
I see. So you're saying when you do thread new, it doesn't actually wait for the thread to start. It just immediately like fully start.
I guess, yeah, it must be starting the thread and then exiting. And it exit before it even gets to send content.
Yeah, our spec is ending before the thread starts.
Yeah, and normally with inline code with single threaded code, our spec would probably give it a chance. It'd probably wait and be like, okay, has send content been called yet? We'll wait until it does, and it'll wait until like a timeout before it decides that it's never going to get called. But with this, uh, the thread just like never has a chance to get started.
Yeah, that's the
Guessing,
reason we try to sleep beforehand, but we put the sleep in the wrong place
yeah,
because we put
okay.
the sleep before thread.start instead of after thread.start.
If we put the sleep before
No,
instead,
no, that's what we did wrong before because we did
right.
actually try to sleep. We did try to sleep. We ended up putting it before the thread started instead of after the thread started.
All right, so let me put everything back the way it was and see how that goes. Okay. I don't love the sleep, so let's see if that's the only way to do it. Hmm. Thread.join.
Well, at this point, we can start implementing the idea that James had previously, which was um, to add some method to kill the thread, right? And then after you've added that kill method, to see if oh no, that we still run into the same problem because they're running on different threads. Our spec is still going to finish.
Yeah, okay.
So what I've done in the past is there'll be a flag that you can set to kill, and then at the end of your kill, you would set another flag that says it's been killed.
I'm still not even ready to get there because we don't have this second read working yet where we have the additional line.
Yeah, yeah. But think we're going to need to get the thread initialization and shutdown correct before this could succeed without a hack.
That succeeded, but not for the right reason. Um, by the way, I suspect we don't need stream 2 anymore.
Right? Well, you definitely need a new stream instance, though, right? Oh, I see.
Okay, wonderful. Okay.
So here, the thread.join says wait for the thread to end, right?
Yeah, but you have that wild true, so that thread's never going to end.
But something's while the 0.1 is what's that argument to join actually do? Let's say
Give it,
wait up to a tenth of a second for it to end. In which case, I don't think this
yeah.
the join does what you're really does what you want it to do, other than it sleeps for 0.1 seconds.
Yeah, I mean, it functions the same way in that it sleeps for a tenth of a second. But doing it this way, I think, shows a connection between the sleep and the purpose of the sleep. Otherwise, you might just see sleep point one and it's like, okay, what's the sleep point? Like, why?
Well, yeah, my point is like you shouldn't even need the sleep point one, right? You should just control this more proactively
How could you do that?
uh, by what we were saying.
I
Create
don't think
some
that's,
method.
no, I don't think that's even relevant because remember, I took all this stuff out, and even when we just had a method call inside here and we took out anything to do with any sleeping, we still required this sleep in order for the thread to begin and the method to be called.
Right? Because what thread.new, correct me if I'm wrong with my understanding, does is it spawns a new thread, gets it started to be initialized, and returns. And so the rest of your program runs after the dot start call is running while the thread's initializing.
Right.
And so you need some way to tell is the thread initialized and you need to wait for it to get initialized. And also you need to be able to tell the thread to end and need to wait for it to end because you
Yeah,
don't want your process to end before the thread has finished its job.
yeah, I agree with James. I think can you put the test code back up? I think that that join without the any time will do that, right?
It'll wait infinitely, I think, for the thread to
But
end.
that's okay because we don't have right now it just starts and stops automatically. There's no code there.
Right. Uh, so
He got rid we got rid of the while true loop, so it will end. So the in theory, just that join without a number, it should still pass.
sure, I'm not sure what that gives us, but yes, I agree with you that it will
Um,
pass.
Unless I'm crazy, we just proved that that's not the case. Um,
Well, he's saying without the code here, it'll pass. Without
Yeah,
that, it'll
send
pass.
content that should pass.
Mhm.
um, and then I just, of course, have to change the expectations. Mhm. Okay.
Then we don't need the numbers, right? We just thread dot join.
I don't believe that's the case. I believe this will fail.
I believe it'll.
What the
Yeah.
fuck?
It's because we're working with two different threads, right?
Yeah.
And the problem was that the first thread, the thread where we are actually doing the work, was in a while true loop, so it never ended. And thread is now that we have that this thread that dot join here in the test code, it is ending because we don't have that while true loop anymore.
Um, Unless I'm crazy, and I guess this is on video, so we could play it back later and find out. But I thought that I had this exact same scenario set up just moments ago, literally this exact same thing, and it was failing. But I guess I was mistaken.
Well, go back. I think what you had was without the joins.
No, I had the
Yeah.
joins.
Oh,
My
Okay.
belief, which clearly is wrong, my belief was that I had literally this exact same thing set up and it was failing. But
yeah.
again, I was wrong. Um,
Can
and
you go back to your RSpec though?
okay.
So in your RSpec, uh, if you do uh, s- we've done so like let's take for example line 31 where you do stream.start. You have a
Hmm.
handle to the stream, right?
Hmm.
Uh, if you make a new line and write stream dot end or
Hmm. Stream.kill?
yeah, stream
Or
dot kill,
Well, if you
whatever.
you mean
call it start, might as
stream.kill or
well call it
thread.kill?
stream because you thread you need it to be stream and you need to go implement it.
I
Right? That's
see.
what you're saying, Nelson. We're going to create a this
We're
method in
yeah,
the stream
we're gonna
class.
create either a method or an instance variable or something so that the while true loop knows when to
When
end.
to break. Yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
And
Uh-huh.
and uh and so it has to go in between these two lines, in between the start and in between the join, because uh you're it it's never gonna end unless you tell it like, okay, now we want it to end, and the while true loop
Uh,
knows
and I would
to
assert
finish.
that you could just put that in place of the thread.join, and in your stream.kill, you should wait for the thread to finish.
All right. I have no opposition necessarily to anything you guys are saying. I do want to gain a little bit of a firmer understanding of something first, though. All right. So this stuff all goes away for a second, and I'm gonna have just send content. Hey, and this passes. Okay. And then if I bring back the while
Yeah,
true,
that won't pass
because it just hangs forever. The thread never gets killed.
because you called the join. Now,
Yeah.
I think my guess is that if you commented out the joins here, we'll get back to that behavior where it's the first one succeeds and the last one doesn't.
Yeah, I would suspect that you're right.
Hopefully, fingers crossed. Do I understand it right?
Oh, no,
What happened?
it just never ends. Okay. All right, but here if we do thread dot kill,
No, no, stream dot kill.
I realize that, but
Oh, I see, I see, I see.
I'm just
Yeah,
trying to gain understanding right now. I'm not trying to do any actual work.
yeah. I think your thing should fail inconsistently, but potentially inconsistently.
Yeah. So
This because it's like a race condition as to
we
Yeah.
do need to
did the
have,
kill happen first or did the
oh
that
yeah,
block
yeah.
happen first?
Okay, so I see what you guys are saying. So it's like we have to say,
You know, break if okay, that works.
yeah, and then we can have like Yeah.
Yeah.
And now I wonder what's going to happen here, but let's see.
Huh. Interesting. Oh, I think we want it the other way.
Yeah.
Um, I guess I don't know how the syntax works.
Yeah, me either. Just loop and break if. That's what I usually do.
Oh, okay, yeah, yeah. Yeah. Yes. Okay. Um, Wonderful. Now let's bring this stuff back. Um, and it needs to be not hey anymore, but line one, that.
And I think there'll be one more problem to figure out.
Okay. Okay. Oh, I just have the expectations a little off. Okay. That passes.
Hold on. Two things.
Mhm.
One, I think in your dream.kill, go back to
Mhm.
that. I think you'll want to wait, have that thread.join after the keep alive equals false. So that way you're guaranteed that when you've exited the kill, that the thread's done.
Guarantee that when you've exited the kill,
The kill method, the thread's actually done. So right now you're setting a flag and returning back, but
Mhm.
it probably hasn't done, like the thread probably hasn't finished yet. So I think you need to save the thread.new to a local variable, and then in kill, uh, call not, you don't want to do it here. Like I think you don't need to know about the thread at this point. You could just say stream.start, stream.kill without knowing about the
Hmm.
thread at this level.
Uh-huh. Hmm. Well, do I do the join here in this class?
Yeah, so I would save the, yeah, exactly. And then in the kill, last line of the kill method.
Are you sure? I
Pretty
would do
sure.
it in the keep alive check. Huh. But why do it here?
Versus where?
Um,
Oh, because you're in the thread there.
oh, I see. Okay. Oh, join doesn't end anything. It just joins it.
Just waits.
Yeah. Okay.
And I
Okay.
think the deal with join is you can give it multiple threads. No,
My
I
son
don't know
just
how
texted
join.
me. He said, "You know how we were gonna watch the Monty Python movie tonight?" And that's a good reminder that it's way past the time I was supposed to go.
Ah, look at how much fun we were having.
Yeah. Um, all right, guys. Thanks for helping me out with this, and I'll see you next time.
Sounds good. Thanks, Jason. Thanks, Nelson.
Bye.
Bye.